What if I told you the hottest gay men aren't aging out? They're leveling up. In their 50s, they're sharper, stronger, and finally untouchable because they survived the era where one rumor could end everything. Tonight, we're exposing the bodies, the fame, and the hidden scars, the closets, the threats, the careers almost stolen. Watch to the end and tell me, who deserved better? 1. Ricky Martin, the idol who smiled while the cage locked. He didn't just become a sex symbol, he was engineered into one, then told the fantasy mattered more than the man. Ricky's body was the marketing plan, hips that started riots, sweat that sold tickets, a face that made the camera fall in love first. But in the late 90s, hot came with handcuffs. The industry wanted the Latin lover myth, girlfriends implied, answers dodged, truth kept off limits. The closet wasn't a personal choice, it was a business model. That's why the old interviews sting now. The questions weren't curiosity, they were traps dressed as small talk. When a famous TV interviewer pushed him about being gay, Ricky later admitted he felt violated, like someone was trying to drag his private life into daylight before he was ready. Imagine being desired by millions, and still terrified that one honest sentence could flip desire into disgust overnight. So he perfected the survival skill every glass closet icon learns. Charm as armor. Smile like nothing's wrong while your chest is a panic attack. The tragedy isn't that he hid. The tragedy is that hiding was sold as professional, and honesty was treated like career suicide. Then, in 2010, he snapped the lock himself, posting that he was a fortunate homosexual man. Not a leak, not a scandal. A declaration written like a man finally taking oxygen back. And even after that freedom, the world still tried to punish him. In 2022, he faced explosive allegations from a family member. Ricky denied them, and the case was dismissed after it was withdrawn. Yet the headlines moved faster than the facts, like they always do. Today, he's a father of 4 and still radiates that stage heat. But now it's backed by something rarer, control over his own narrative. Even his 2023 divorce announcement with Juan Joseph came wrapped in love, respect, and dignity, not chaos. So tell me, did the industry protect Ricky or steal years of his life for profit? Drop your take below and hit subscribe for more stories where beauty comes with a hidden bill. 2. Wentworth Miller, the escape artist who broke out of the spotlight. Wentworth's sex appeal was never loud. It was controlled. Steel jaw, quiet eyes, that don't touch me unless you mean it energy. In Prison Break, Hollywood sold him as a monument to straight masculinity. The stoic hero, the cold precision, the body built like a locked door. And when an industry builds you into a symbol, it doesn't want you to change the meaning. So for years, the pressure wasn't just hiding, it was performing. Smile at the right moments, say nothing. Let the world project whatever makes them comfortable. Because back then, openly gay wasn't a label. It was a risk category. The threat wasn't always a person in a dark alley. It was roles that evaporated, meetings that never got scheduled, a career quietly redirected into silence. Then came the move that rewrote his entire legend. He came out by refusing power. In 2013, Miller declined an invitation to a Russian film festival, writing that he was deeply troubled by the treatment of LGBTQ+ people and couldn't celebrate in a country where people like him were being denied the right to live and love openly. That wasn't a confession, it was a geopolitical stance. And he didn't stop there. And years later, after the internet mocked his body with a cruel meme, he spoke publicly about depression and suicidal thoughts, pulling the mask off the invincible image fans thought they owned. Then he drew a boundary Hollywood hates. In 2020, he said he no longer wanted to play straight characters, effectively retiring the very fantasy the industry once monetized. And he stayed consistent, even as a Prison Break reboot moved forward without him. In 2021, he also revealed an autism diagnosis, another layer that explains why fame, noise, and performance could feel like warfare. So here's the debate. Is Wentworth's hottest move his looks? Or his no, the kind of boundary that makes a man even more magnetic? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe if you want more stories where silence isn't weakness, it's control. I3. Murray Bartlett. The Chaos Daddy Hollywood found at 50. Murray Bartlett is what happens when the spotlight finally lands on the man who's been ready the whole time. Silver at the temples, shoulders that fill a doorway, a smile that feels like a dare. He doesn't look like a supporting character. He looks like the main event. And the fact that he blew up in his 50s is exactly why it hits so hard. It's proof you don't expire. You evolve. He moved from Australia to the US in 2000 and started stacking work the way real actors do. Guest spots, soaps, roles that paid rent but didn't build mythology. One day, you're a sexy Australian shoe importer on Sex and the City. The next, you're grinding through daytime TV, hoping somebody notices you're more than the hot guest star. And when you're an out gay man aging in public, the silence hits different. It's not always hate, it's invisibility. Casting rooms start acting like desire has an expiration date. The message is cruel. You can be talented, gorgeous, grown, and still be treated like you're not the moment. Then the twist. The breakthrough audition happened in lockdown. Self-taped, alone, on the kind of day that makes actors wonder if the phone will ever ring again. On looking, he already gave queer adulthood a pulse, messy, tender, real. But the White Lotus was the match. As Armon, he was magnetic chaos, charming until he's terrifying, funny until it bruises, sexy until it turns feral. That performance earned him an Emmy and proved a gay man in his 50s can be the most electric thing on screen. And then he flipped the knife in The Last of Us, an intimacy so tender, it made the internet argue about whether softness is the bravest masculinity. He's even said he wants to show real intimacy between men on screen. No flinching, no apology. So let's make this controversial. Was Murray late to fame? Or was Hollywood late to admit it wanted him? Comment your answer and subscribe to Silent Fame for the next names that will wreck your stereotypes. 4. Billy Porter. The disruptor who made survival look like luxury. Billy Porter doesn't walk into a room, he takes it hostage. Sharp shoulders, deliberate eye contact, that voice that sounds like velvet wrapped around a blade. He's sexy the way authority is sexy. You don't just watch him, you straighten up. But his glow wasn't gifted, it was fought for. Porter spent years learning how quickly the world turns fabulous into too much, and how fast Hollywood turns a queer man's truth into a liability. In 2007, he was diagnosed HIV positive. He kept it private for 14 years, not because he lacked pride, but because stigma still had teeth, and he knew one whisper could cost him work. When he finally revealed it in 2021, he described carrying fear and shame alone, like living with a loaded gun in your pocket, praying nobody notices the weight. And then there's the part the internet doesn't romanticize. He's talked about health issues and financial collapse in that same era. Diabetes, bankruptcy papers, real-life pressure that could have broken him. Instead, it sharpened him. Pose didn't just give him a role, it gave him a stage to turn pain into prophecy. As Pray Tell, he was tenderness and wrath in one body. An older queer man loving his community while watching it be punished. Then, Porter did what the system hates most. He turned visibility into a weapon. The tuxedo gown moment wasn't a fashion choice. It was a public refusal to be contained. At 56, he still looks carved, abs under couture, skin glowing under flashbulbs like the camera owes him rent. And the real flex isn't the body, and it's the nerve. A black queer man refusing to apologize for taking up space in a culture that tried to erase him twice. Once for being gay, and again for living with HIV. So here's the question that splits comment sections in half. Does Billy Porter deserve peace after all that? Or is peace the one thing the world keeps trying to deny loud queer men? 5. Colman Domingo, the king of the late bloom. Colman Domingo makes maturity feel like a threat in the best way. Groomed beard, shoulders that sit perfectly under a suit, and eyes that smile like he already knows your weakness. He's hot without trying, because he's not performing youth. He's wearing experience like cologne. What people call his overnight rise is actually 20-plus years of being underestimated. Domingo spent decades in theater and smaller screen roles, doing the long grind of an artist, waiting tables, taking what came, staying close to the work while the industry kept him at the edges. The drama isn't a scandal. It's the quiet cruelty of being talented enough to deserve a seat at the table and being told to keep standing. And when you're openly queer and black, that message hits harder. In the 90s and 2000s, too visible could mean too risky. Not a band you can sue for, just 1,000 tiny doors that never open. So Domingo learned a different kind of survival. Show up undeniable, dress like a headline, and let the work make the room shut up. Then, the crown drop moment, he won an Emmy for his guest role on Euphoria, and suddenly the world acted like it had discovered him. Playing Bayard Rustin pushed it further. Domingo made history as the first Afro-Latino nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. And he kept the momentum with back-to-back major Best Actor recognition, proving the glow wasn't luck. It was timing finally catching up. His style is part of the seduction. At the 2025 Oscars, he showed up in bold red Valentino, saying the color was about love, like a public refusal to shrink queer joy into something polite. Off camera, he's built a steady life with his husband Raul, which only makes him more magnetic, a man who doesn't beg for approval. 6. Cheyenne Jackson, the pretty boy who admitted the dark. Cheyenne Jackson looks like the kind of man Hollywood used to lie about. A classic leading man face, ocean-deep eyes, and that tall, clean-cut body that makes a tuxedo feel like foreplay. And he has matinee idol written in bone structure, and at 50, he somehow looks sharper, not softer. But the secret sauce isn't just genetics, it's survival. Jackson has never sold the fantasy that life stayed perfect after the credits rolled. He's been open about battling addiction early in his career, and how brutal that fight can get when you're expected to keep smiling through it. And after nearly a decade sober, he posted in 2023 that he had relapsed. Raw, ashamed, terrified to disappoint people who saw him as proof that recovery lasts forever. That confession is the drama audiences don't expect from a man this polished. Because in celebrity culture, you're supposed to be inspirational without ever showing the mess. Cheyenne did the opposite. He showed the mess, then kept standing in it. He didn't hide behind PR. He didn't blame anyone. He said the quiet part out loud. Sometimes you fall, then you get up again. And there's another layer that makes him a silent fame weapon. He's a gay husband and a father. Married to actor Jason Landau, raising twins, living a life that used to be denied to men like him in the public imagination. When he turned 50, he celebrated it openly, online, no age panic, no pretending, just a man owning the milestone. And career-wise, he refuses to fade into past tense. He's kept bouncing between TV and Broadway, and in late 2025, he stepped into the Broadway comedy hit Oh Mary, a reminder that his second act isn't nostalgia, it's momentum. So here's the question. Do we only let gay men be hot when they're flawless? Or can a man be sexy precisely because he's honest about the wreckage? Is Cheyenne's vulnerability strength, or a risk in an industry that still punishes imperfection? Comment below and subscribe to Silent Fame. I want your honest take, no filters. 7. Matt Bomer. The golden face Hollywood tried to disqualify. Matt Bomer is the kind of handsome that used to come with a warning label, a classic jawline, blue steel eyes, and a body that photographs like it was built for capes. He could have been the safe leading man Hollywood sells to everybody. That's the twist. He looked like the industry's idea of masculinity, and still got treated like a risk. In the early 2000s, Bomer says he was lined up to play Superman in the now scrapped project Superman Flyby. He said he even signed a multi-picture deal, then watched the opportunity vanish. According to Bomer, his sexuality got weaponized against him. He believes he lost the role because he was outed and decision-makers decided a gay man couldn't be the world's straightest symbol. That's the glass closet horror. Not one loud villain, but 1,000 quiet doors closing. Smile, stay vague, play along, or watch your future get reassigned. So he did what survivors do. He kept working. White Collar made him a heartthrob. Magic Mike turned that physique into a pop culture event. But the real drama was the message. Be beautiful, just don't be real. And here's the part that makes him even hotter in his late 40s. He stopped letting shame narrate him. He built a private home with his husband, publicist Simon Halls, raising 3 sons while keeping them out of the circus. Then he chose roles that exposed the cost of hiding. In Fellow Travelers, he plays a man forced to compartmentalize desire just to survive power. An emotional prison that echoes what the industry demanded from real men for decades. So tell me in the comments, was Hollywood protecting a brand or punishing a man for existing? And would we even blink if this happened today? Drop your verdict below, and if you want the rest of this list, hit subscribe. Because the hottest thing about Bomer now isn't his body. It's that he's finally living like he deserves joy. 8. Lee Pace, the alpha who refused to be consumable. Lee Pace doesn't do cute. He does command. Tall, broad-shouldered, voice like slow whiskey. He's the kind of man the internet calls daddy and Hollywood casts as kings and villains. And yet, his most dangerous trait has never been the body. It's the boundary. Pacey spent years living in that open secret era where everyone speculated, nobody asked nicely, and the wrong headline could hijack your future. And he's described how a Broadway run put his personal life under a microscope and how a co-star's comments had already pushed his sexuality into public chatter before he was ready. He said the experience left him feeling bloodied. Then the press went for the label. In 2018, promoting Angels in America, Pace tried to answer without handing strangers the keys to his life. He said he'd dated men and women, added that he didn't know why anyone would care, and then landed the line that still sparks fights online. I find your question intrusive. Some people called it evasive. Others recognized it as a survival reflex. Because Pace has also spoken about what growing up queer teaches you. You learn to read danger fast because not everyone reaching for your truth is reaching with clean hands. And while Hollywood tried to reduce him to a fantasy, Pace built a life that feels almost feral in its independence, hand-building a timber-framed house upstate, disappearing into nature, reappearing on screen looking even more mythic. When he later confirmed he's married to fashion executive Matthew Foley, it wasn't a headline grab. It was a calm statement of fact, like, "This is mine, you don't get to negotiate it." So here's the debate. Do we truly respect privacy, or do we only respect it after a celebrity gives us the label we want? Was Lee Pace too guarded? Or was he the rare star protecting his happiness in public? Argue it out below, and subscribe for the next names. 9. Luke Evans, the action daddy Hollywood didn't know what to do with. Luke Evans doesn't just look like an action hero, he looks like the kind Hollywood used to swear could only be believably straight. Broad shoulders, a wolfish grin, that polished, dangerous charm that makes a leather jacket feel like a confession. And that's exactly why his story lands. He's proof the old rulebook was always a lie. Before the movie posters, there was a kid in a strict religious home in Wales, in a culture where different didn't get celebrated. It got corrected. Evans has talked about growing up in a Jehovah's Witness environment and how isolating it felt to realize who he was. You learn early in a place like that. Your softness is a target, your truth is a problem, and survival means getting good at pretending. Even after you leave, the fear doesn't evaporate. It follows you into casting rooms, into red carpets, into every room where silence feels safer than honesty. Then he breaks through, and Hollywood tries to put him in a different box, just a shinier one, on action franchises, swords, fast cars, monster movies. The industry loves his masculinity, but it also loves control. So the tension lives in the pauses, the carefully worded interviews, the strategic privacy, the constant question under camera lights. Will honesty cost the roles that keep the machine running? And that's where the drama sharpens. Because the punishment isn't always a headline. Sometimes it's quieter. Being approved as long as you stay conveniently undefined. Being desired as long as you don't disrupt the fantasy. People act like that's protection. But is it? Or is it just another cage with nicer wallpaper? Luke's second act heat isn't only his body, it's his refusal to fold. He didn't beg permission to be both, rugged and gay, romantic and dangerous, tender and built like a threat. He's been more open about his life, his love and the past he survived, and that openness hits harder because it comes from a man once treated like a fantasy product. So here's the comment war question. Did Hollywood ever really accept Luke Evans, or did it just realize it could profit off him anyway? Tell me what you think. And if you've ever felt pressured to edit yourself to be marketable, you're not alone. 10. Andrew Scott, the soulful heartthrob who made vulnerability feel illegal. Andrew Scott's sex appeal isn't the loud, shirtless kind. It's the kind that sneaks up on you. Soft eyes, sharp cheekbones, that voice that sounds like a confession you shouldn't be hearing. The internet called him the hot priest, but what made him dangerous wasn't the collar. It was the contradiction. Tenderness with teeth, restraint that feels like foreplay, and vulnerability that can break your ribs. And he didn't arrive as a meme. He earned his way there through years of work, often as the brilliant supporting shadow while louder stars took the light. Now add the part people don't like admitting. He did it as a gay man in an era where being too known could quietly shrink your options. Not always a threat you can screenshot, more like an atmosphere. The unspoken suggestion to keep your private life tidy, unmentioned, unconfirmable, so everyone else can keep projecting their safe fantasies onto your face. When he spoke about being gay, he didn't do it with fireworks. No scandal, no apology. But he did cut the room with one simple idea. He doesn't love the phrase openly gay because straight actors aren't called openly straight. That line is small, but it exposes a whole system. How labels can be a compliment on the surface and a leash underneath. Then came the cultural explosion. A gay actor generating world-ending chemistry with a woman on screen and making the world choke on its own stereotypes. The old excuse, audiences won't buy it, collapsed in real time. And suddenly, the gaze flipped. People didn't ask if he was marketable. They asked why Longing looked so violent and so holy at the same time. And when he chose roles that cut deeper, stories about queer loneliness, memory, grief, he turned Internet Crush into something heavier. A mirror, not the sanitized kind, the kind that shows you what it costs to hide and what it costs to finally be seen. That's why he's hot, because he makes honesty feel like the most dangerous thing in the room. And that's the real twist. The hottest thing isn't the body, it's freedom. These men didn't just stay beautiful, they outlived the rules that tried to erase them. So, I want your verdict. Who had the most brutal story, and who had the best comeback? Drop your take in the comments. Let's debate. If you felt this, hit subscribe to Silent Fame. Part 2 depends on you.